roll call.
Roll has been
I
taken.
preceded the announcement. Thank you for coming. Roll call has been taken. Any declarations, folks? We have no presentations. We have no delegations. May I get a mover and seconder for everything before us? Councillor Samuel, Councillor Carpenter, thank you. Seconding. Thank you for seconding. Oh, did he? I get you two.
Oh, you
confused.
seconded.
No.
The clerk will pick one
Somebody said.
and we'll proceed. We have the minutes before us. Any questions or errors or omissions concerning minutes? Let's vote on that. If we can, please. Those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We have one item for consideration. Is there anything staff wish to present on the item as an overview?
I have an overview. Yes.
Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. After a meeting held on February 20th, 2024, the Major Sports Team Liaison Committee passed the following resolution, which was ratified by Council on March 19th, 2024. The staff report 2024-79 titled Sports Facilities Overview and Update on Liaising with Current Major Sports Teams be received, and that staff be directed to proceed with the recommended next steps further outlined in section 5.3 of the report, including to maintain business relationships with current sports organizations through the city's business retention and expansion program, and to identify leads in consultation with the chair and the vice chair, and to prepare a list of facility and other needs that would be required in order to accommodate the identified leads, and to prepare an investment attraction strategy to target attracting the teams identified. And that staff be directed to also consult with sports teams who own private sector facilities, and that the mandate of the Major Sports Teams Liaison Committee be amended to include minor sports teams, and that staff be directed to compile notes from the consultation meetings conducted and prepare a work plan to address outstanding matters. Since our last meeting, city staff provided notes compiled from consultations with major sports teams and prepared a work plan as requested. Notes and work plan are included in the report appendices. On April 19th, 2024, the committee chair and manager of economic development, BRC, met to identify targeted leads of prospective major sports teams to the city of Brantford. From this meeting, it was decided that city staff will provide written correspondence to identify teams. A list of teams to be contacted will be compiled with input from the city Parks and Recreation Department. With the presence of Wilfrid Laurier University in the city, Laurier was identified as a top candidate for attraction of teams to Brantford, with the possibility of a varsity program for teams such as football, basketball, and hockey. City staff will reach out to Laurier's Waterloo campus with the goal of creating a varsity experience in Laurier Brantford. Also discussed was the meteoric rise in women's sports and the possibility of building on the city's current female minor sports leagues by developing programs that open opportunities for major sports teams in Brantford, such as hockey, soccer, and basketball. The possible resurrection of the Boston Brantford Marathon was also discussed, with the chair reaching out to past organizers for information. City staff has been involved in discussions with the rodeo circuit interested in coming to the city, as well as high-end triathlon circuit. These discussions are in the initial stages, and more information will be forthcoming. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments from committee members? So thank you to staff for the work that's being done on this account. We're in progress, as you all know, with respect to our discussions with some of our major teams now. We've had some difficulty with a couple of teams, and it's sometimes not easy to get together with them when they're living out of town and they're off season. And we suspect there may be some transitions as well in terms of ownership of some teams. So we're proceeding with that apace as we're able to. And as May said, one of our other endeavors is to begin to look elsewhere for folks who may want to locate a team in Brantford, or a league that may be looking for an alternate city for one of its existing franchises. And that's an item of work that we're going to be embarking upon. We've started to identify any privately owned facilities. I know Councillor Carpenter has suggested the basketball facility on help me out, Elgin Street. Yes.
Mohawk campus.
Yes, and that's one that we'll be pursuing, and there may be others. The baseball field next to the dog park, I believe, has been taken on by City of Brantford in some respect. But, you know, there may be other opportunities for us to partner with those organizations as well. And the other one that comes to mind, of course, is the Harlequins facility out at the end of Power Line Road. So as we approach these teams, we're going to continue to do it the way we've done it, where it's most efficient. We'll be meeting with chair and vice chair or another committee members, so we're below quorum numbers. But we are going to be needing the involvement of the mayor when we reach out to some of the more, I guess, professionally run organizations to solicit Brantford as a location for their teams. Get the mayor and CAO involved in those discussions so that prospects are aware that this is an official ask. Mayor, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so if we think about the Civic Center now, I think the air conditioning is about to be completed. And that'll be the first facility, rink-like facility in town that has air conditioning. And so I think we can plus all of the upgrades to the Civic Center, I think make it a prime candidate for lacrosse in the summer when it's not well used. So who do we have as a prospect for lacrosse?
Well,
we
there
already have a C team here that plays at Wayne Gretzky.
The chair will himself dodge the rules by responding directly to the mayor's inquiries. So there are a number of lacrosse leagues and a number of teams in the vicinity. There's a team that plays in Paris, I believe. We have the two teams that play in Six Nations, the Arrows and the Chiefs. And both the leagues that they play in have a number of teams. I'm not sure how many in the junior league, but in the senior team, I believe there are 5. But, you know, things like that are in flux, and we probably could attract another team of some nature to Civic Center. The leagues would have to pass muster on the suitability for the Civic Center because of the height of the scoreboard. In a lot of other arenas where you have a scoreboard of that height, they do have screening to prevent damage from goaltender passes. So that's something that we would have to take a look at. It may involve additional expense, but we wouldn't know until we gauge that interest.
But do we know what teams might be candidates for moving?
Well, we know there are probably a dozen in the junior A circuit. There are, I think, 5 in the senior A circuit. And maybe the names, do you recollect the names of the other leagues? Because I don't.
I have, we have a list of potential
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
When it comes to hockey, we have lacrosse. Okay, well, the Ontario, we had women's major series lacrosse senior A.
Mm-hmm.
We have Ontario Junior Lacrosse Leagues Junior A. So was that the one that you had mentioned?
Correct, yeah.
And we have Arena Lacrosse League, senior men's semi-professional box lacrosse teams, and Arena Lacrosse League women's division as well.
And we also have there's another winter league that's commenced, and I believe there's a team the owner of the junior C's he's going to be locating in Six Nations and ILA, but that seems to be a league that's starting, but that would require one of our rinks to be left without ice over the winter. So we do have a number of prospects that we can be talking to.
But the league that, of course, I'm most familiar with is the OHL, and so you know, in any one year there are 2 or 3 teams that you hear when you're connected into it that you hear are maybe not entirely happy with where they are. Their lease is coming up, and you can actually lobby them, and Brampton does it all the time. But and they got the steelheads because of that. So if we look at junior A lacrosse, great to have junior A lacrosse here. So I'm wondering, do we know enough about? I don't know enough about lacrosse to know what teams might not necessarily be entirely happy with where they are, and who they could be maybe convinced to come to Brantford.
that is a course of action that I think we need to follow soon. We wouldn't have anybody this year, but it would probably take a year to.
Do we know anybody that's kind of connected into the lacrosse world?
We do, yeah, we do.
It'd be great to have a team like that in the Civic Center. So,
Junior A especially, yeah. Thank you. Councilor Carver?
The mayor raises a good point. We should know the contracts that are around us in these sports leagues.
Yep.
So we know when their contracts are expiring, what the leases are, much information as we can get, because if we're going to be looking at wooing them, we should know when their contracts are expiring or whether they're happy or unhappy. The question I had originally before that was, we're paying attention to boxing too, are we not?
We're paying extreme amounts of attention to boxing, yes.
Boxing is still a sport.
It sure is, yeah.
And I just wondered, we haven't had any discussion on that. I just want to know if we would like to look into, we should look into boxing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We had been focusing on teams, and of late we've started to think more broadly, as May mentioned, about things like, and I think the Boston Brantford Marathon morphed into the Rotary Run, but so those are the kinds of things that we should be looking at as well, Councillor. And I think boxing is it's a pretty good target. If I recall, you may have some connection there with the black eye folks.
Boxing,
Yeah.
The other issue would be, when we're looking at this, are we looking at what we're charging, what our costs are? So we mentioned the Rotary Run. It's going to cost them $6,000 to raise funds for charity.
Yeah.
Because of our fees structure that we have in place. So we look at that when it comes in comparison to what the sports teams are playing, what their costs are, and what our competitors' costs are. So we know whether we're
Sure.
even in the ballpark.
Yeah, and you're right. We know that there was some negotiation when we brought our very successful junior A hockey team here. And as we have these discussions with other teams, we'll be entering into the same kind of discussion, and that'll be something that we'll be getting staff and the mayor's office perhaps involved in for some of the more major endeavors.
We should know what our competitors' costs are, so we can know whether we're actually competitive enough to lure.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
well,
Can I have one more? If I could?
Of course.
We had on the list the minor teams.
I don't have my timer.
Minor
Very
sports teams. Have we had any consultation with the minor sports teams, including the teams that are run through the neighborhood associations?
We are in the process of rounding up contact info from Parks and Recreation and any other folks that may have it. And once we've got that, then I think we need to decide exactly how we want to have discussions with them. And May and I had a discussion about this, and perhaps we may want to meet with all the folks that are involved in minor hockey as a group, or all the folks that are involved in minor baseball as a group, or meet them individually. And that's something that this committee can ponder when we get the list ready. Okay.
Sure.
We're gonna be at this a while.
I just raise it because I know Brandon Neighborhood Association is an example. They honorably gave up one of the diamonds for another league that was starting, an adult league. It's supposed to be temporary, but they've lost that diamond for 3 years now, and they have to have the kids play someplace else because they lost that league, and they don't seem to be able to get it back.
Income tax, when introduced in 1917, was temporary as well. Yeah, no, it's a good point. Very good point. Yeah. Yes, Mayor.
yeah, don't forget, we got a consultant right now who is Ram Bakula, and he, I think, is quite familiar with competitive rates in other municipalities, other arenas. He may know something about the world of lacrosse and who might be looking. I don't know, I've never asked that question.
I wonder if the committee could prevail upon the mayor to ask that question.
Yeah, if the committee thinks it's worth inquiring, I'll make inquiries.
I think everybody assents to that. That would be excellent. Thank you.
We complement very nicely what is happening in the winter at the Civic Center.
So today was to provide sort of an update. Any other good suggestions, comments, questions?
We should be promoting the good things we're doing. Like you talked about the new diamond. By the
Yeah.
we're also putting a new diamond in at the old auction site. We should be promoting that, making that known that we're doing those things to promote sports. Anytime we do something good that makes an additional spot, we should be making that part of what the committee does.
it's sort of beyond the scope of this committee presently, but that's something that we can make note of. And we can act on that, certainly, can't we? We have, in our interviews with lacrosse and hockey, we have heard that there are some darn good things that we do that our tenants and our partners in sports appreciate, right? They're not shy about telling us, and we probably shouldn't be shy about telling other people.
Yeah, they're good news stories, and the others that aren't coming forward will hear those stories. And then
Yeah.
come forward.
By the way, the first junior C lacrosse game of the year is this Friday at Gretzky, so just saying,
It's on my calendar.
as Larry would say. You have season's tickets yet?
No. they're-
$60. $60, yeah, $60.
Same with the Reds.
Anything else?
I just have a
Kara,
comment.
yes? Uh-huh.
I'm told by sports enthusiasts in my life that wrestling is making a comeback right now. And last year at the Civic Center, there was a WrestleMania Junior, like a local thing held that was pretty successful. I don't know if there's been any consultation with wrestling groups in the area, but that's a really unique space that would be great for that. And that was kind of, I think, piggybacking on Black Eye Boxing made me think of it. And Brantford has a Pure Impact cheerleading, and close to us is the Ancaster Sharks for cheerleading. They use arena spaces like that for competition where they build their own. They bring in all the mats and build it at every facility. So we could look at hosting a cheer competition. As
Yeah,
well.
that's excellent. And Counselor Carpenter would probably remember, I wasn't around then. I'm not as old as he is, but they used to pack the Civic Center for wrestling apparently, right?
Yeah.
Wrestling and country music was always a big hit.
I think The Rock has something to do with its resurgence.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, wrestling was a big deal.
Yeah, our list is getting bigger and bigger, isn't it?
That is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if everybody's happy and we've exhausted our discussion, we will, I guess we have a vote, don't we? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's on the floor already. So if we could just have a show of hands, is that okay? Those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. So thanks, everybody. So our work plan has increased. May doesn't need to sleep well. Or take weekends off. We're good. And again, thanks to staff for the work on this. Well, I know how busy you guys are.
That's all.